up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm Angela Yee, and this is the epitome of Way Up. Aisha Hall is here, my true crime story. But I met you before when you did the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
And that was for American Gangster Trap Queens.
Yes. Shout out to BT for that.
So let's give a refresh on the Aisha Hall story, because even though we're going to see my true crime story, and that's a series that Remy Ma actually voices too. So she kind of narrates that. But let's give people just a background on who Aisha Hall is, because you're from Long Island.
Strong Island.
Okay, sorry, Strong Island.
Strong Island. You got to put some respect on LI.
And even since the last time I've seen you, a lot has happened, and we'll get into that. But as far as my true crime story, let's talk about what happened to you when you were, 25 years old?
So at 23 years old, I started a company, Apogee Financial, and I knew nothing about this industry. Mm-hmm. It was the trading industry. And I knew nothing about it, but I worked in the mortgage field. So I had a client come to me who was making a lot of money and wanted a big loan. And I said, I can't find a lender to give you that much money. What do you need it for? And he said, I need it for this private placement platform, a PPP. Mm-hmm. Not the PPP they know of today.
Yeah, a lot of people going down for that too.
Yeah, different PPP. It still went down for it, but a different PPP. So the private placement platform was private trading, where people traded commodities like gold and silver and things like that, rubber, any commodity. So it was an industry I wasn't familiar with, never heard of. But when I saw his income and I saw, what he needed as far as, the loan amount, it was a couple million. And I'm like, I don't have a lender that's going to give you that much. Mm-hmm. What do you need it for? He said, I need it right now. And I need it for, so I got curious and started looking up the information. And I found out about this world that is basically almost like a secret world that a lot of people don't know about, the average person doesn't know about. It's $1 trillion industry where commodities are traded on the private market. And it's unbelievable. The requirements are insane. You have to be worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to participate. And I was just blown away by what the requirements were. And that's how I got into the game.
And did he help you get into the game?
He did not. He doesn't even know I got into the game.
Oh, you just saw that and you were like, I want to be able to figure out how to. Okay, so you were trading and it was gold, right?
Right. So I wasn't trading myself. I was helping people qualify to trade. Mm-hmm. So I saw that the requirements were that you had to be worth 20, 30, 40, 100 million, but you didn't have to spend that money. You just had to show you were worth it. Right. And then you could spend, if you wanted to spend 100,000, that was fine. You just had to show that net worth. But I was like, wait a minute, this requirement alone is going to knock out, the majority of the population from being able to participate. What can I do to kind of open up the doors for more people?
So you were like Robin Hood, kind of.
I was like Robin Hood.
These doors up. Except that, you can't do documents that aren't real, right? And so you were...
You definitely cannot. I was definitely a criminal in that capacity, yes.
But did you have any idea in your head the magnitude of what it was that you were doing? Because like you said, you were only 23 years old when you started this company. You saw this money. You might feel like, well, it's fine. They'll get in the door. You're not thinking this is something that I could go to jail for. Or did you know? And you're like, I'm willing to take that risk.
I didn't. I knew that it was... I'm making documents that are false documents. So I knew that was wrong. But I did not know to what magnitude. I'm thinking like a fine or probation or something, because I'm not stealing anything. Mm-hmm. I'm not robbing anybody. I'm helping people qualify for these trading platforms, and they're using their own money. Maybe a little slap on the wrist if they see these documents, but I'm not stealing money, which in my mind would be the biggest crime, or making people think they were getting something that they weren't getting. And that would be misleading people, which I wasn't doing that either. The clients knew what they were paying for. So in my mind at that time, I'm covered. Worst case scenario, I can explain my way out of this. That's what us tourists do sometimes.
Yeah,
try to explain your way out of stuff.
Yeah, don't date a tourist.
Because we're always right. But yeah, so I was like, okay, these people have their own money. These requirements are just too strict. Mm-hmm. So I can help them get in and get paid in the process. So you're going to pay me, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, depending on what it is, for me to make you look right so that you could go handle your business. And I just didn't know, that I was breaking so many federal laws. I didn't understand. Who knows the difference between fed and state? Who knows that, So, and I started off legal. So when I was initially doing it, when I was adding people to the accounts and doing all that stuff, it was legal. How it became illegal is when I didn't go through that process and I just start doctoring up documents to speed up the process. So that's
It's crazy that they don't check deeper into that when we're talking about like 30, 40, 50, $100 million, that they wouldn't go and check to make sure and double verify these documents also, or to make sure that what is being presented is valid.
Well, I had the bankers with me. So if they did try to verify it, the banks were going to verify it as well.
So everybody was breaking the law.
Everybody. And, a lot of people don't realize, the people that people shout out, the people that people look up to and say, oh, this is an amazing company, the majority of them are corrupt and do corrupt business or have done at one time.
Right.
I'll never say the names, but I've had some multi-billion-dollar companies reach out to me at that time to do business with me. And it wasn't
because they saw the money
up.
rolling in.
Absolutely. And they needed things to qualify for that maybe, their cash flow was short, or their assets for that particular time weren't where they needed to be to qualify for certain things. And, everybody plays the dirty game. It's just that certain people go down for it, So
what is it that you exactly were charged with when you ended up going to jail?
So I was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud. And conspiracy is the key word, right? Because when you conspire, you don't have to actually do the thing. You just have to have met about it, met with people about it, talked about it, thought about it. And as long as you've done something in the capacity of conspiring, in the feds, you could be charged as if you actually did the thing.
Right. And so somebody actually had a wire on. Is that how you got caught?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Can I curse on it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that motherfucker. Let me tell you.
Okay.
This was a friend of mine, right? So we went to high school together.
Well, damn.
We were very good friends. And I remember I had a big problem of always getting kicked out of banks. And banks are set up kind of for the average person to be broke. Right? When you make too much money, it's a problem. It shouldn't be a problem that I have 7 figures in my account or a high net of 6 figures in my account. But as soon as you have that kind of money, you're red flagged.
Right.
So when I would open my account with 5 or 10,000, and then within a month, it has 400 or 500,000 in it, it's a red flag. So a lot of the banks, rather than investigate what I'm doing, would say, we don't feel comfortable doing business with you. Come in the bank and pick up a cashier's check and go back elsewhere. Right. That happened to me like 4 or 5 times.
That's wild. They just can tell you, we don't want to have your money in here. That's crazy. I didn't know that. It's never happened to me. But okay, go ahead.
So, and I also didn't know that every day a list comes out with banks with who you can or can't do business with countries. So if I'm getting a wire from a country that's on the hot list with the United States, it's red flagged. And this was international business. So sometimes that was an issue too. But, I'm learning. I'm a kid,
right.
I'm learning as I go. So,
And how were you getting clients coming to you internationally? Like, how did you market your business so that was happening?
So there were this is, a little back in the day where there was these blogs and chat rooms and financial blogs, and you basically go in there and put what you offer. And there's also, different financial people putting what they need. So everybody's just kind of looking to see who has what, in an exchange of information. Okay. But once I did one good deal, I was that go-to girl. Word of mouth. And you know why? Because I refunded. So I had a guy one time literally send me $1 million to do a deal. And when I got his paperwork, I noticed that something wasn't right with the trade. I said, are you sure this is all the way straight? Because it looks like there might be something with the product. I don't remember if it was oil or something. It just didn't look right. So I ended up telling him that we weren't going to do it. So he's like, damn, now I got to get a lawyer and go through all this to get my money back. So I was like, no, you don't. I'm going to go on a computer, press a button, and refund you your money. And his mouth dropped. He was like, in this industry, nobody does that. Once you pay that much money.
They make it so difficult.
But I just sent it back. So, of course, when he had another deal, he came back to me because he felt safe and he referred friends.
Okay.
And so, that industry is very small. So word spread, it's safe to do business with her because if something doesn't go right, she'll refund you. I did a lot of refunds.
When did you realize what you were doing was illegal?
I made a decision to do something illegal, and I knew it was illegal. So initially when I was, say you need to show you're worth $5 million tomorrow, just for example, and you didn't have it, and I'm worth it. I can go into the bank and add Angela Yee to my account.
And then I'm worth it.
And now you're worth it, right? That's initially what I was doing. But what happened was that process, because it's trading, was a little bit more difficult. So it would slow up the trade approval. So rather than wait a week, they were like, I need this right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I can't get it to you right now because we have to go through this process. There's a background check. There's all this other drama. And they're like, but I'm going to lose my position, my trade position. Can't you just put me on the documents? And I'm like, you know what? Actually, I can.
Yeah,
because
I can make that happen.
you're not taking money.
Right.
You just need to show this. So you pay me this amount,
I'll add you to
$300,000, $400,000, whatever it is, and I'm gonna add you to the paperwork. And then after you do the deal, we just rip it up like it never happened, and you go make your money, and everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm.
So when I made that decision to do that, I knew I was doing something that was quote unquote wrong. I just didn't think it was that serious.
When did you realize how serious it was?
When the feds came.
Oh, so you didn't even realize until the feds came, because sometimes there's a point where you're in it already, and you're in it deep, and you're like, damn. At some point, something's going to happen. But you never felt that until the feds came.
I didn't feel that. No, because I was just so engrossed in what I was doing. And honestly, when you make that much money, you know how like if you make a lump sum of money or you get like a settlement or you get a big paycheck or something, it's like, wow, this is a once in a lifetime thing. Or imagine every single day or every week, you're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. You almost feel invincible.
Right.
So I realized that I was kind of blind because I was so caught up in what I was doing, and I was helping so many people, and my staff. Shout out to my brothers that was working with me. We were all
getting money.
Fridays, it's like, here's $50,000 for you, here's $30,000 for you.
Sorry, my staff ain't getting that.
So it was like, it was a different life.
So you had $10 million in the bank. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I made $10 million.
Okay.
So the most I had in the bank at one time was probably like $6-7 million, but I had made over 10.
Okay.
But I was paying people and paying broker fees and paying out for my office, for my staff. We're traveling, getting cars. So,
it was going out. Okay.
It was coming in and going out.
It was investing back into the business as well.
Yeah.
And for some reason now, and I've heard you say this before, you didn't really buy anything. You had money sitting in the bank, but you didn't really invest into other things at that time, and they took all the money.
Oh, no, I invested.
Okay.
That's why I didn't have a lot of the cash, because I did a lot of investing. So I bought 75 houses. I bought warehouses. Like I bought 75 houses in Detroit. Like some streets I owned the whole block.
Wow. Still to this day?
No. I was in prison,
okay.
I wish.
I didn't know. Did they take all that from you?
They didn't take it.
Okay.
Because when I was away, obviously there were taxes due and stuff, so I lost them. I didn't have anybody to pay the taxes and that stuff. So I lost it because of that. But I had a bar and restaurant, like a bar and grill. I had warehouse. I had trucks. I had you name it. I was diversifying like crazy.
Right. Okay. Did you try to figure out while you were in jail, like who can help maintain these things? And
everybody was in jail, so my whole team went to jail.
Damn.
So I didn't have anybody to help with anything, and things just kind of went down one by one. But when the feds came to me initially, they did not arrest me. So when they came to me initially, they didn't even understand what I was doing. It was such a private and diverse and just under the radar business, because it's private placement trading. So like the FTC and none of those people ever got involved. So they were trying to figure out who was running this company. They didn't think it was my young ass.
This little girl
especially
is
my
not
young black ass. They definitely didn't think that.
They're like, who is the boss here?
Who is the boss? So they were like, so when they initially came, I remember the feds had, closed my bank accounts and seized my money, but I didn't know that. They told me, we're going to overnight you a check. And I was waiting for this check for like $6 million. And they said, we're going to overnight it to you. But the bank was working with the feds, and I didn't know. The Secret Service, actually. I didn't know. So I fly, to my old house where they said they were sending the check to, and I get greeted by the Secret Service.
Oh, damn.
Instead of the check. They come in with a FedEx envelope, and my naive ass is still like, well, maybe they just got the check in the envelope. But the envelope had arrest warrants for my bank accounts.
They were not playing with you. Look, I don't want to give everything away because I know there's a lot more to this whole story. So you ended up doing my true crime story. Now, tell me how this even came about. I know that you have a relationship already because of American Gangster and all of that, but how did they decide, okay, we got to turn this into my true crime story?
Well, actually, my best friend did my true crime story. Shana King. She's actually in the studio.
Yeah. I see y'all always together.
We're always together.
She said you're annoying. No,
she's a liar. But we actually met in the feds.
Yep.
And I met her along with like Jamila, and they did.
Jamila is my girl. Shout out to Jamila Davis.
Yeah, shout out to Mila. So they did. I did American Gangster, and so did Jamila. But then Shawana did my true crime story. And when she was doing her interviews and stuff, you know, she kept mentioning me, like, y'all should do my friend's story. And they actually hadn't heard about me. So she told them, you know. So they reached out, and for the first season, they turned my story down. They said it was too complex to put into such a short period of time. But I'm like, BT did it, and they did a great job.
Right, they did.
So they came back around and was like, you know, we want to do it this time.
Yeah, and I think this timing is great because people sometimes don't understand. Like, there's so much that's been going on, I think, lately with people, you know, moving around money, doing different things, wire fraud, insurance, all kinds of things have been happening. I feel like it's at an all-time high right now, honestly.
It's definitely at an all-time high. But, you know, I always tell people, like, when I was in prison, right, we had stamps as money. So I could accumulate stamps and then trade my stamps for things in commissary, right? So stamps technically became a currency. You can make a currency out of anything.
Anything, yeah.
Currency is man-made.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, as what Malcolm X used to say, the chickens come home to roosts, because they have taken so much power away from people with money, and, you know, people struggle every day. And now that they've put so much, you know, effort into this technology, it could be so manipulated. And people have been manipulated for a long time.
Oh, my
gosh.
gosh.
A long time. So now it's kind of like the people are kind of figuring things out and manipulating the system. You know, it's almost like a war. They try to pull as much. People work all day. I don't have a traditional job. I work for myself. You know, I tell them what I make. I show what I make. And I pay taxes based on what I make. But people who have a job, you know, sometimes they lose almost half their money between insurance and taxes.
Oh, my God.
It's crazy. So people
we
are
still
like,
owe more.
Yes, people are figuring ways out.
And listen, they're not going to tell you if they owe you money, but if you owe them money, you
go to
got to
jail.
pay. You got to pay interest. Anything could happen.
Yes.
So you ended up going to prison for over 10 years?
10 and a half years
10
was
and a
my
half
sentence.
years.
I ended up doing 9 years.
Okay, 9 years. Okay, now we got to talk about this too, because on the way home, you said for 10 hours, you rapped the whole way home, because this is just also another aspect of things. And I see you signed to Ghostface.
Yes. Shout out to Ghostface in Yap City.
So tell me about that, because this is a whole new chapter.
Well, you know, it's crazy because my father is an artist, right? My father used to do a lot of music with Public Enemy and all those things. So I've been doing music since I was a little kid. And I was really getting into it, but I've also always been obsessed with making money. Like, I just always wanted to have a lot. I always wanted to do a lot.
Where did that come from, you think?
It's just in my blood. Like, you know, I always wanted to. I'm not like a materialistic person.
But you care about making money.
But I care about making money
too,
and living comfortable.
Me too.
I hate, like, you know, when a bill is due, it's like, I don't like that feeling. I like it, no problem. Like, just put it on automatic payment and it's good. It's done. I don't want to be stressing over money.
And I think sometimes people will shame people for feeling like you want to make a lot of money and you want to do things like it's a bad thing. But I also feel like when you can make a lot of money, you can also help a lot of people too. Because really part of what you did was helping other people make money. And that was one aspect. It wasn't like you were trying to get the money and keep it all for yourself and do whatever. Everybody was making money.
Everybody was making money. And, you know, there's always an agenda. Wealthy people can't be wealthy without people who spend money. So you have to make people feel comfortable, you know, giving you, and not always receiving, because then you won't have, you know, you won't have the wealthy and then the middle class and the poor. You have to spend money. You have to make people feel like having a lot is a bad thing,
right?
Because you won't have the system that we have.
It's just like telling people voting is a bad thing, or it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's how you stay in control. You know, the less informed people are, the more the people at the top make money. So information is really the key to making money. Like, I make a living right now, like selling courses and educating people But if they knew it already, they wouldn't pay me because
Right.
they would already have that information. So there's value in information, but there's also value to certain groups of keeping people ignorant. Because, how are we going to profit if you know the game? There's a lot of things you wouldn't do if you really knew what was happening behind the scenes.
When you first came home, was it hard for you to tell your story? Because sometimes there's this stigma, and I feel like the more you tell your story, the more sometimes people now it seems like are fascinated, by hearing people's real stories and things that they've gone through, difficult times, ups and downs, being up, then being down, and then making it back up again. How was it for you when you first came home and people were like, oh, what do you do? Or when you were meeting people, did you ever feel like, I don't want people to know? Or were you always able to tell your story?
Oh, I was always able to tell my story. I was never ashamed of what I did. I kind of was concerned about my family, because I didn't want them to feel shame. I was more concerned with other people than myself. As far as me, I knew what I accomplished. I knew that I had done something great, even though it was illegal, but I knew that people do illegal stuff every day and they don't make millions of dollars. So I knew that I had the right mindset, and I knew that I did something that was just different. I just had to find a way to apply it to something else so that I wouldn't get in trouble. So, I liked being able to talk about what I did and also uplift other people, because there's a lot of intelligent people in prison, geniuses actually.
And I think everything that you were also able to accomplish while you were in prison, writing books, and also coming home and doing, like you said, like teaching courses and being able to do those things. It wasn't like it was a waste of time.
Exactly.
Sometimes people come home and they feel like I got to catch up. I've been locked up all this time and I'm so far behind. But you came home like, I got 6 books, I got this, I got that going on. Met your best friend, while you were there, and actually made some great relationships.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a lot of people. It was a culture shock for me when I came home, because there was no social media when I went away. So when I came home and I'm looking at social media and everybody's these big bosses and all of that, and I'm like, well, I put in this crazy work. Everybody put in that kind of work. And then I realized that, a lot of things were about a look, and that a lot of people weren't actually doing the things that I did. So I knew that I would stand out. I knew that when I told my story that I would say, okay, I'm not just a gimmick. I'm not just, hey, look at me on Instagram, I look like I'm popping. No, I'm really putting in that work. And I wanted people to see that and understand that, who are you when the camera's off? Like, are you really that comfortable, or are you fronting? Because I can show you how to really be that comfortable.
Right.
So I wanted to take my skills and share it. It's not fun being around people who are struggling and broke. I'm not one of those people that want to, slide through the hood, popping, and everybody else is struggling. I like to be around people who are also doing well. So if I have the skills, I'm like, why not share it, and why not help uplift other people and help them get to that level? I'm going to make money helping you make money.
Right.
It doesn't get any better than that.
So when you came home, did you have money? Like, did you have?
Hell no.
Okay, because that's not easy either to figure out. Because there's also a lot of restrictions when you get home, and you have to figure out, like, certain places, you have to let them know that you have a record. And
let me tell you. So when I came home and I got with Man, a guy that I had met, and then, we got into a serious relationship, and he had a felony as well. And the Fed, he ended up catching another case. And when they came to get him, when we were at the house, we both got violated because we were both felons and together. I was like, well, that's my fiance, blah, blah, blah. They was like, we don't care. You don't have permission to be together.
Wow.
So he like, I'm
you
from
can't
the
even
Bronx.
Date who you want to date.
Yeah, like everybody around me is a felon. But it's like a catch. It's a way to guarantee, like, if they ever want to get you, I'm like, I work with felons every day. It's just a way to guarantee that
they had that power to be able to say, all right, well, you ain't gotta really do nothing, but because these are the restrictions we place on you. Yeah, that's tough. So with the music now, let's talk about that. What's the plan?
The music is, if I could do music and do nothing else, that's what I would do. I'm serious.
Okay.
I love music. It's just so kind of watered down right now. Like everybody does music. Shout out to the people that really have talent. And shout out to the people that didn't have talent that was able to finesse the system.
Right.
But
we love the finesses always still, right? Can't be mad.
Yes. But yes, I am a serious artist. I get ready to put out a new project. Working with Ghostface, we have a dope single. I also have another single with Serrani that I'm going to drop.
Okay.
Shout out to
Serrani, was
Serrani.
that Angela Yide? Shout out to Serrani.
Yes. I was just talking to him actually. So I am trying to stay in my lane. I left when music was still in a certain era, and it's very different now.
You're not doing no drill music or anything?
I'm actually really good friends with some drill artists, and I was thinking about maybe doing like a drill song, like with Fabio or something, just to kind of stay in tune with but we'll see. I think that the people who just love hearing, because my music is really just my story.
Right, because I was going to say, you rap about what you really did.
Yes.
A lot of people will rap about things they didn't do, but it sounds good. You can make it sound good, but you really did it, so it sounds like it's...
I really did it. I really made the millions. I really had somebody wear a wire on me and set me up. I really had a team. I really had some crazy encounters. Like, I really, my family, I came up really, like, dealing with, like, street stuff. Like, this is all real. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff people rap about, I really lived that. So I think that kind of sets me apart to a degree.
Can we go back to this guy with the wire for a second?
Oh, Lord.
When you look back on that day, is there anything that you're like, I should have known because something was off? Or was he really like acting normal?
Well, let me just tell you, because I started to say it and then we got, onto something else. But when I was getting kicked out of banks, I reached out to him because I said, what can I do to stop getting kicked out of banks? Like, he's like, well, bank over here with me. I work at Chase, and I'll manage your account so you don't have that problem again. So I was like, oh, perfect. Never asked him about anything. I just needed a banking home. So he was like, let me set up an account for you. Send me a check that I could start the account with. So I sent him a check for like 500 bands. So he was like, you just sent me a check for 500,000. What the hell are you doing? So I was like, I'm doing some different transactions with trading and all of this. He was like, well, how can I get in? I was like, it's a little gray, but if you want to get in, I can help you out. So he was down with it. So, and I didn't ask him to do nothing crazy. I just asked him to prioritize my clients.
Okay.
And if he gets any calls about my clients, just say they are ready, willing, and able to complete the transaction. Don't give him no other information. Yeah. So that's kind of keeping him clean. You know what I mean? I'm not asking him to lie about numbers and all of that. Well, one day when I went to, and I was paying him for this. One day when I paid him, somehow our accounts linked, and you're not supposed to be paying your banker,
Yeah.
So that's what put him on blast. And then I guess when he was approached, now if he would have just told on me, cool.
But you wore a whole wire.
Now that's going too far.
Right. Now we were high school friends. Yeah.
You wore a whole wire for probably probation or probably almost nothing because you really didn't do anything, So it's like, you should have never said, how can I get involved? And when I told you should have kept it pushing if you wasn't built for that. So, he's corny with that. And it's sad because I feel like, everybody wants to shine, but nobody wants to grind. Nobody wants to deal with when the sun is out, it's cool. But when it rains, it's like, everybody wants to
You took a risk
hide.
just like, and voluntarily wanted to take a risk. And then he could have probably, but at some point, something was going to happen too.
Something was going to happen, but I don't care. You should have still kept
it shouldn't have been
shut.
from your friend.
It should have been from my friend, and you shouldn't have wore a wire.
Right.
He's not a street guy, so if he would have told, cool, I would have been like, whatever. I still wouldn't have been, we wouldn't have been friends anymore.
Because that's next level. That's like they got to go on to you.
And then you lure me to a restaurant. Yes, you lure me to a restaurant. And I'm like, I felt bad because he lost his job. So I'm like, I'm going to slide you a little something.
Dinner on me.
No, I gave him a couple thousand.
Okay.
I'm like, so you can pay your bills and then you can come work for me. I was talking real spicy, real cocky. What if I would have said some crazy shit?
Right.
I could have caught a whole nother charge. He could have winked or something.
Yeah, let me know. Like, damn, all right. Well, listen, that's why it'd be the people closest to you sometimes, though.
It'd be the people closest to you.
Yeah. How does that make you feel, though, when it comes to trusting people?
You know what? I'm a risk taker. And a lot of times you can't do it by yourself. If you're going to do something where you're trying to accomplish something big, you have to involve a team. You have to involve other people. And that's just part of the risk. I use what I learned in prison as far as reading people. I throw a couple test runs out there, see how they respond. Not that I'm doing anything wrong, but at the end of the day, I just want to have trustworthy, loyal people around me.
Right, of
so
course.
You don't see me with nobody.
Because
But
even just being in the music business, that's a grimy game too.
Lord.
So when we talk about trust, it's not about necessarily illegal things, but it's also about like, if we got certain things going on, can I trust that you're gonna do everything when I'm not in the room? Are you advocating for me? Are you gonna make sure the
are you a
money's
closet
right?
hater?
Right. Are you hating on me? Are you going back telling this person, my business X, Y, and Z? So that's a lot,
Yeah. I've been fortunate to not have to deal with too much of that because, as you can see, like the two people that's here, that's really like who I'm with all the time. I don't invite a lot of people into my life, because it's just. It's easier that way. It's less to worry about. Less
How was your
tracking.
family while you were locked up? Were they in contact? Did people?
What? They were my riders.
Okay, good.
They were my riders.
Because that's the worst when people ain't checking on you. And...
Nah, they definitely held me down. They definitely visited. Drove 10 hours twice a year. I asked them to come. I didn't want to overwhelm them. And my grandfather was like my number one supporter, and he passed away when I came home. Not too long after I came home. And my dad was murdered while I was away.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, things happen, like we all going to go one day. It's just I'm glad for the time that I had with them. I had really, really strong men in my life that helped guide me and, instill certain principles in me. So I'm grateful for that.
So how did you end up signing to Ghostface, of all people?
That was really, really dope because so I have two friends that were already working with Ghostface, Driss, who's here, and Reek the villain. Okay. So Driss, actually, I sent him a record. And he was like, I'm going to send this to Ghost. So he sent it to Ghost, and Ghost hit back like, oh, she fire. I want on the team. Just that simple.
Wow. Okay. Blessings on blessings.
Yeah, so shout out. And I've been fortunate to have friends who mention my name, who go into rooms and say my name, like what Shawana did with, my true crime story, like what Driss did with Ghost. It's like I have people who want to see me win around. So that helps a lot,
Were you rapping while you were in prison? Like
what? I got through my whole bit rapping. It was therapeutic for me. You know what I mean? And it was. I spent most of my time writing books, though. Yep. The majority of my time, I wrote books and kind of running the prison. Anybody who I was locked up with will tell you, like, Aisha was in there. Anytime somebody snitched, sometimes I walk in the unit and we don't got no TVs, we on lockdown. So I'm like, what the hell happened? Because I'm coming in from my job. I worked at the rec. Oh, such and such done went and told. So you got to go deal with that. I'm like, yeah, I got to go. Because I was like the rat enforcer. Like, right. Who told? Come here.
We don't deal with that.
We got to have a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Aisha, we're always going to keep up with you. So I appreciate you for coming through today. And I want to make sure that everybody is going to be watching My True Crime Story. Yes. The episode airs tonight. It's on VH1, right?
Yes.
VH1 tonight. So make sure you watch that story. But make sure you watch all of the incredible stories that are being told.
Dope. And check out season 1, episode 1, my Bestie Show. I got to plug my bestie. She was the first episode. Shana King. Make sure y'all check that out as well. And, yes, I air tonight. And make sure y'all, if y'all want to watch it with me, you can come with me to 9 Degrees Golf in Fort Lee. You can go on Eventbrite, put in Aisha Hall, and grab a ticket and come through and, hang out with me and some of my celebrity friends and watch it, see my reaction, all that good stuff.
I might stop through because I got to be in Jersey tonight with Tabitha for her book release. I did a thing. And so on the way back from Jersey.
It airs at 9.
I'm going to do a little pass through.
Okay,
on my way
be
back
so
to Brooklyn.
So dope. Oh, and can I tell them about my book?
You can do anything you want.
Okay, all right. So I have this really dope project called Larry the Lending Lion. And I wrote it in prison, and it's a book about credit. It's a book about credit and financial literacy for kids. It rhymes, really dope characters, and it teaches kids, how to, basically bank. Okay. It teaches them about interest. It teaches the characters are like Larry the Lending Lion, Hippo Hector the Tax Collector.
We don't like him.
We don't.
We don't like him.
We don't. And he's definitely the villain in the book. But it's a short read, but it's packed with value.
Okay,
right?
I like that. I do Wealth Wednesday up here. So yes, I have my Wealth Wednesday platform. I got my real estate license. Last week I announced I joined the Sirhan team.
That's fire.
With Ryan Sirhan. He came up here to do the announcement with me. But I understand the importance of all of those things. I'm not going to lie. I've been rehabbing this house, and my credit score has dropped because my credit card is so high. And I check it every single day. And I know I don't need to do that, but it really is.
That's good. You on
I'm
top
like
of it.
Yeah, there's something wrong with me. I'm like every morning.
But the good thing about credit is that when scores drop because of usage, as long as you pay it down, it will go back.
It's temporary.
You know, it's temporary. Now, them collections and all that stuff, they need to holler at me. They need to holler at me and my girl. If they need those collections off, they need to holler at me and my girl.
Okay, so we doing this.
Yes, we doing this.
All right, good. I like it.
Doing this. And educating people how to do it themselves.
Yeah,
so they
that's
don't
the
have
most
to keep
important
paying
thing.
over and over for somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I had to learn how to do that my damn self too. So, and it, you know, I always want to tell people one more time. I know it's not a Wealth Wednesday today, but make sure you know what your credit score is. Some people feel like I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know what's on my report. Just go look at all of those things. Everything you can figure out how to take care of it somehow. Like you got to just deal with it.
I started my life over with credit. I had nothing. When you asked me if I had money when I came home, I did not. Credit is what I was able to, you know, use to get my books out there, to, you know, get my wardrobe together, to get my apartment. All these things I needed. I didn't have money, but I used credit. And you can literally go from 0 to 100,000 in a very short time with credit, you know.
All right. We love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, make sure y'all watch My True Crime Story tonight on VH1. We appreciate you so much, Aisha Hall. And, of course, Shawan is here. So make sure you check out her episode 1. Yeah, season 1, episode 1, Kicking It Off.
Absolutely.
All right. It's way up.